Today I am recording in the downstairs kitchen because today is Thanksgiving, and because I have been changing my diet to a vegan diet, and because my mom is a vegetarian and my sister has been a vegan for a while, today's Thanksgiving dinner is going to be all vegan. There's not going to be any meat, there's not going to be any dairy, and I'm not cooking with any processed sugars or artificial sweeteners. What's going to be on the menu today is I have a all vegan tofurkey roast. That's tofu turkey roast made with tofu, and that also has stuffing inside. With that, I'm going to have more stuffing. I've got an organic savory herb stuffing, and then with that I'll be cooking, let's see, I'll add water to that, and I'll be using this a lot today. This is an all vegan earth balanced natural buttery spread, and it gets very hard. It gets hard like it gets hard like butter when you keep it in the fridge, so I've been letting it sit out to get soft so it'll be easier to work with. So I've got this stuffing. I'm also going to be, what I'm going to try to do today, as opposed to adding like maybe onions and celery, I'm going to try adding some cut asparagus spears in with the stuffing, and I'm going to cook that with the tofu, the tofurkey roast. There's also going to be mashed potatoes. I'm taking the easy way out. Instead of cooking those from scratch, I got some instant mashed potatoes, and I'll probably season those with my garlic powder. And this is a generic version of Mrs. Dash, I think is basically what this is, and it's a zesty blend, and especially if you're trying to avoid salt, this is really good to use. But then I'll probably will add some salt, so I've got my salt there. Candied sweet potatoes. So I've got my sweet potatoes here. I'll be putting some walnuts in with those, and I'll be sweetening that with pure maple syrup, which I love maple syrup. It's one of my favorite natural sweeteners in the world. I'm crazy about maple syrup. I'll probably cut up this apple and dice that and add it in with the sweet potatoes. I was going to use 2 apples, but I've only got 1. I don't feel like going to the store. And then I think I'll throw in some currants just to try something different this year. And then I'll be adding a little bit of imitation butter flavoring, and I'll have to season that, of course, with allspice, ground allspice. Then there will be the cranberry sauce. So I've got my bag of cranberries here. I'll be sweetening that with, okay, there it is. I'll be sweetening that with white grape juice. I don't want to spill that. That one's open. I'll be sweetening that with white grape juice concentrate, which this is another one of my all-time favorite natural sweeteners, white grape juice. And I'll also be thickening that with a little bit of cornstarch. I'll be adding a little bit of cornstarch. I think it's good. I'll have to check the recipe. I think it's going to be about a 1/4 cup of that to thicken the cranberry sauce. And then, since that might still be a little bit tart for some people, depends on what your preference is, but once it's cooked, I'll probably add 3 packets of, this is stevia, an all-natural sweetener. I also have some whole grain rolls. I got these out of the freezer section, actually the frozen health food section at Kroger's. And then I'll probably have this to put on the rolls for anybody that wants to butter their rolls. And then I also have maple cream, and this stuff is fantastic. It's very good. I haven't tried it on rolls yet, but I'm sure it's going to be very good. And then to drink today with dinner, I have soy milk nog, soy nog. I tried some of that earlier. It's actually very good. And sparkling cider. Okay, so I want to bake the sweet potatoes at about an hour and a half altogether at 300 degrees. Here's the tofurkey. It says to bake this at 350 degrees for, is it an hour and a half? Yeah, I think it's an hour and a half roughly. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cook the tofurkey longer. I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. I'm going to show you, kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. So I'm taking it out of the box, and I'm getting ready to put it in a dish after I take that wrapping off. I needed to make a baste for the roast, so they have directions and a recipe on the side of the box for a baste. What I did was I took, I think it was 3 tablespoons of olive oil, and a tablespoon of soy sauce, and a teaspoon and a half of ground sage, and I mixed that up together in a cup, and I'll probably set that on the stove. Okay, and here's the roast. I've set it in this big dish because I'm going to be adding stuffing to it later, and putting some glaze on it. Put my lid on it and stick that in the oven.